Yes, you and I did the yearbook for 2020. What do you think about 2021 in relation to 2020?
Uh, First of all, I want to say shout out to everybody coming in the room. Starting to see the familiar faces and stuff. We appreciate the love.
Definitely.
Tell your people to subscribe to our page. Hit the button. As far as relationship to last year, I literally had this thought when I got up today, Mike. I was like, the best three albums this year overall aren't as good as the best three albums last year.
Yeah.
And that's going to make this seem like a weaker year. But I think this year is not as top heavy as last year, but might be better, a deeper class. You know, like this might be a deeper class of albums than last year's class of albums. And last year was very, very impressive. But
Yeah.
I don't know if this year is going to beat last year just because the five best albums last year, just for me, are probably better than the five best albums this year comprehensively when I look at it.
Definitely. And for all the people who might be wondering what we're talking about when we're talking about the yearbook, we're talking about a 2020 yearbook that Coop and myself put together for According to Hip Hop last year that basically chronicalized everything that went on in hip hop, all the records, all the top, 20 verses, top
Mhm.
albums, all that stuff in one book. We're thinking about how we're actually going to package, 2020's yearbook for the people that missed it with the 2021 yearbook that obviously we're working on now because we want the people to actually get involved with helping us put together this 2021 yearbook, and we'll have that one available on Amazon, or if we change distributors, we'll definitely keep people abreast of that. Anyway, the yearbook concept kind of came from, we're just talking about, great years and how basically the internet moves so fast and people go back and change history. And we've seen, or at least I've seen personally, like working with According to Hip Hop, how people will actually rewrite history as it's going. And we figured that the best way to do it is to kind of actually have it in a solid, tangible form so that 5 years from now, people won't tell you 2020 was different than it actually was. But with that
Right.
being said, man, 2020 was a great year to actually chronicleize. I know when we were doing it, you were saying it was one of the strongest years in recent hip hop history. I mean, do you still stand on that?
Yeah, I do because I still would say that it's stronger than this year is. And I told you, like I was saying, it's like this year was setting itself up to be stronger, but that was dependent upon some people releasing projects that have yet to release projects. Conway's second project of the year
Right.
is still not released. Um, we've been having plenty of Kendrick conversations for a couple years now going on. No Kendrick album yet. No Pusha T album yet.
Well, you know
Nope.
what? Terminator 2 brings up a good point. He said he's thinking that Rick Ross may be a contender. Rick Ross put out that he's dropping his album, what is that, December, is it 10th? I'll go back and check the date just to make sure. What do you think about Ross possibly be an album of the year contender based on what we have on our list so far? And we're about to let you guys know what our list looks like.
That's a definite possibility. I mean, for those who aren't familiar with our 2020 yearbook, he was our guest appearance artist of the year last year
Hmm.
because he was everywhere. Even when we were doing the top 20 albums list, I was like, looking, I'm like, man, I'm like, Ross is like on like 6, 7 of these projects. And like, and then,
Right. And
yeah,
and I'm thinking that, speaking to that, I'm thinking that we're gonna get some Freddie Gibbs, Conway the Machine, possibly West Side Gun, and Benny the Butcher on this Ross album. It's gonna look different than what we've seen Ross albums look like, previously. Because hip hop looks different now, right? Like you got guys working with Freddie and Benny and them that wouldn't have in the past. I mean, we just seen Jay-Z put out a record with Conway and Jadakiss. We're probably gonna see Jadakiss on the Ross album. So ain't no telling what this album's gonna look like. The trouble with actually having albums that drop in December in these conversations is we don't really have a lot of time to digest it. And that's one of the reasons why we're actually doing today's show too. Because I know we always get hit with the criticism like when we critique an album the day it comes out. Well, now we've had some time to actually live with these albums that have come out over the year. And we're going to go back and talk about the best releases that happened in hip hop in 2021 since we've had some time to live with it. But the records that come out in December, it's very hard to be able to do that. One that sticks out in my mind is when the Game dropped Born to Rap in December, and a lot of people gave it, well, a lot of our followers voted for it to be album of the year over Rhapsody's Eve album. And I'm not sure if it was better than that. It's hard to say, but that was 2019, by the way. So we got to set a deadline, and I'm thinking our deadline is at the end of November, correct?
Yes, and I think I'm going to go back to, I think, something that we said around this time last year is that somebody would have to drop a project in December that we would have to hear like immediately and be like, oh, this is an album of the year contender to include.
It would have to be like on some Illmatic instant classic type shit, right? To be fair.
I mean, it would just need to be something that, like, immediately you would have to say, "Is this the best album that I've heard this year?" I think that's all it really needs to be,
right?
In order to have that conversation. That didn't happen last year. Ross is a viable contender. One thing that happened with with his last full album was Port of Miami too, right?
Yes, correct.
Rap was literally changing right when he made that album.
Right.
If you actually go back and look at it, like, rap was literally in the middle of changing. And what he showed us last year through his guest appearances is that, he's actually become an elder statesman and somebody who's revered by his peers, which is the most important thing. There's nothing better than being revered by your peers, no matter what, format that you're in, no matter what your career, job, profession is. There's nothing better than being revered by your peers. And so you see that this younger generation reveres him. And so it's going to be interesting to hear what his project sounds like as an elder statesman who's revered, who's literally watched the game change since his last project, and based on his guest appearances from last year and this year, has impressively adapted, Mike.
Him and 2 Chainz have done a very good job of that. And it's interesting they did a versus together, but yeah, they're highly revered by the younger generation, and they seamlessly are able to work with people of their generation, the younger generation, people on the underground set, whoever's popping. So it's like you can really tell where hip hop is by listening to a Rick Ross album or whatever comes out at that time, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing.